So here we are on the eve of October 8th, 2023 in the United States, October 9th, 2023 in the Middle East. What has happened over the last 48 hours in the Israel-Palestine region? There has been a monumental escalation in the violence in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For the first time in history, Palestinian Islamic insurgent groups have managed to invade Israel and carry out cross-border insurgencies that have left hundreds of Israelis dead and hundreds more abducted. We're going to talk about what we know so far and how we got here. I am going to note that this video is not going to talk about the complex history of the Gaza Strip or the relationship between Israel and the Hamas movement. If you're interested in that, please click on the first link in the comments below, and that'll take you to another video that discusses these issues in depth. So, some of the basic facts. The Gaza Strip is a territory to the southwest of Israel. It is bordered by Israel, Egypt, and the Mediterranean. It is home to some 2.2 to 2.4 million Palestinians. It is controlled by the Hamas movement since 2007. The Hamas movement is a movement that was established in 1988. It is a militant Islamic Palestinian group that has vowed to liberate all of Palestine in the name of Islamic liberation, essentially eradicating Israel from the face of the earth. The movement violently opposes any negotiations or peace treaties with Israel, and in turn, Israel has refused to recognize the Hamas movement or to negotiate with it over the years. Since the movement took over the Gaza Strip in 2007, the Strip has been besieged by Israel in the land, sea, or air, and by Egypt through its land border with the Gaza Strip. Since the movement took over the Gaza Strip, there have been scores of escalations and flare-ups between Hamas and Israel. These have typically involved Hamas firing massive amounts of rockets and missiles into Israel, and Israel in turn retaliating into the Gaza Strip, either by aerial bombings or by ground invasions. What happened this time? What is different? For the first time in history, the movement managed to break through the siege and invade Israeli territory. It began at 6:50 in the morning on Saturday. The movement launched a barrage of missiles into Israel, all the way from Tel Aviv in the center of the country, including Jerusalem, and all the way to the south of Beersheba and the surrounding towns of the Gaza Strip. At the same time, the movement launched drones that completely eradicated Israel's lookout posts and then managed to confuse Israeli intelligence and lookouts as it sent its first wave to storm the 8 different outposts surrounding the different areas on the borders of the Gaza Strip. It is rumored, at this point it's unsubstantiated, that Iran may have participated in this and launched a cyber attack at the same moment in order to confuse Israeli intelligence. At this point, that's unknown. What we do know is that the Hamas commando units managed to infiltrate the 8 different outposts, taking over some of the outposts at different moments. This managed to sow further confusion into Israeli lookouts and intelligence that didn't know what was going on. Once these outposts were taken over, 15 different locales along the border, the fortified border that Israel has, the different levels of fences surrounding the Gaza Strip, 15 different areas were detonated with bombs that Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad had planted there in the previous weeks. Once these were detonated, Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad sent scores of commando units armed to the teeth with rocket launchers and lots of automatic weaponry through these different locales, and they sent them in various different waves because they thought that the IDF was going to be waiting for them. They thought that the IDF intelligence probably knows what is happening, and thus they were going to try to infiltrate several different areas. According to some of the prisoners that have been captured and interrogated, they were very surprised that the Israeli military did not know about this plan. The failures in Israeli intelligence are going to be the subject of much debate over the coming years. Once these invasions began, Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad continued to launch mass amounts of rockets as the ground troops invaded and started going town by town in the different villages, kibbutzim, and townships that surround the Gaza Strip. They did this very effectively in order to confuse Israeli intelligence. They went in on motorbikes, shot up a town, killing anyone they saw, often families with children, and then continuing on very quickly to another town, such that there were emergencies going off in every single town, every single village. It was unclear. Meanwhile, second and third waves were coming through, and they started abducting people. They started coming in with mass weaponries, and there are lots of videos in which they simply go into a house and pull out the entire family, occasionally including children and babies and elderly people, put them onto pickup trucks, and drive them back to the Gaza Strip. This went on for hours upon hours as Israeli police and military were trying to gain control of the territory, and at the same time, these 15 different locales along the border between Israel and Gaza remained open. And thus there were flocks of people that were still coming in, including regular Gazan citizens. There are even instances where Gazan reporters simply walked through the fences and covered the events that were going on in Israeli townships. This whole thing went on in earnest for anywhere from 10 to 14 hours, depending on how we count. At the end of it, at the current moment, there are 700 to 800 Israelis that have been killed throughout this attack. This includes scores of sometimes entire families, and lots of soldiers, and lots of elderly people, and in some case, lots of children. Additionally, 100 to 150 Israeli civilians and military have been abducted and taken to the Gaza Strip. 30 of them are held by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and roughly 100 to 120, 130 are held by the Hamas movement. Footage includes women, children. The most elderly that has been captured is an 85-year-old woman, and there are reports of infants and babies that have been taken also. These are theoretically to be used as bargaining chips to force Israel to release its 8,000 to 9,000 Palestinian prisoners that are held in Israeli jails. At the same time, in retaliation, Israel has started to bomb different Gazan locales from the sky. There are reports of 400 to 500 Gazans have been killed so far, and Israel is massing its troops along the border to prepare for a different sort of retaliation. I will note that right before making this movie on the eve of October 8th, Israel has not yet managed to gain control and neutralize all of the terrorists that invaded the country. There are reports of still fighting going on in the southern parts of the country because Israel has no clue how many people have invaded and what their plans are. That is still going on. More is to be updated in the coming days.